Hello student. So after completion of the meninges, let's see the CSF. So CSF, that is also called the cerebrospinal fluid, and it should be present into that the ventricular system of the brain and the central canal of the spinal cord. And apart from this, it is also present into that the subarachnoid space present around the brain and the spinal cord. The total volume present into that the CNS of the CSF, that is near about 150 ml. Out of this, 30% of the CSF that should be present into that the ventricular system, and remaining that should be present into that the subarachnoid space. So let's see the details of the CSF. So let's see the CSF and the CSF circulation. So CSF that should be present into that the ventricles of the brain and the subarachnoid space which is present around that the CNS, that is means the brain and the spinal cord. So the ventricles are here, that is the lateral ventricle. You can see this is the lateral ventricle, this is the third ventricle, this is the cerebral aqueduct, and this is the fourth ventricle, and here this is the central canal of the spinal cord. So the CSF, it should be present in the canal of the spinal cord, cerebral ventricles, and around that the brain into the subarachnoid space, and the normal quantity of the CSF, that is near about 150 ml. Formation. So the CSF, it should be formed into the choroid plexus. So here you can see that is the red color marking. This is the choroid plexus in the ventricle. So choroid plexus are tough capacity of the projections from the pie mater that should be present inside to that the ventricles, and have covered by the pie mater and the ependymal covering. The large amount of the CSF that should be formed into that the lateral ventricle, and some they are formed into that the choroid plexus of the third ventricle, and some they are formed into that the choroid plexus of the fourth ventricle. Then the properties of the CSF. The CSF is a clear colorless transparent fluid, and the volume of the CSF, that is near about the 150 ml. The rate of formation, that is near about 0.3 ml per minute, and the specific gravity of the CSF, that is the 1005, and the reaction of the CSF, that is the alkaline. So let's see, that is the CSF circulation. So the CSF circulation, as you know, that is the CSF that should be present into the choroid plexus of the lateral ventricle. So here you can see that is the two lateral ventricles. So it should be forming into that the choroid plexus of the lateral ventricle. Then forming that the CSF from the lateral ventricle, that should be enters into that the third ventricle through the interventricular foramen, or that is called the foramen of Monro, through this. Then from the third ventricle, that is the CSF, it should be enters into that the canal like structure. It is called the cerebral aqueduct, this one. And from the cerebral aqueduct, then it should be enters into that the fourth ventricle. So fourth ventricle, it should be present posterior to that the brainstem and anterior to that the cerebellum, so that the triangular cavity, it is called the fourth ventricle. And into the fourth ventricle, that is the three foramens are present. That is the first foramen, it is the present the median aperture, or that is called the foramen of Magendie. So here you can see that is the median aperture, this one. And the two lateral foramens are present. So that is the lateral aperture. So that is called foramen of Lashka. So throughout these three foramen, that is the CSF that should be enters into that the subarachnoid space. So as the part of the CSF that should be enters into that the subarachnoid space throughout the foramen of Lashka, which is 2 in numbers, and the foramen of Magendie, which is single in numbers. So throughout these three foramen, that the fluid that should be enters into that the subarachnoid space, and the remaining fluid that should be enters into that the central canal of the spinal cord. So here, so most of the CSF flows upward through the gap in the tentorium cerebelli. So here you know that is the tentorium cerebelli is present, and then it should be forward and laterally over the inferior surface of the cerebellum. So this one. Then finally it ascends on the superolateral surface. So here that is the superolateral surface of each cerebral hemisphere to reach the arachnoid villi. So here you can see that is these are the arachnoid villi and arachnoid granulations. Okay, so throughout that the villi, it should be enters into that the superior sagittal sinus. So this is the superior sagittal sinus, this dark blue color space. The CSF enters into that the bloodstream of the superior sagittal sinus through the mesothelial lining of this villi and the granulation. Then the some CSF moves inferiorly into that the subarachnoid space. So here around the spinal cord and the cauda equina. So here this is the cauda equina. Small amount of absorption may also occur into that the pial vein. Then the main flow of the CSF, it should be facilitated by the pulsation of the cerebral and the spinal arteries present into that the subarachnoid space, and the movement of the head and the spine. So that is the circulation that should be occur, because there is no any nervine action or no any stimulation that should be occur. So as the CSF that should be present or form into that the ventricle, so that the circulation into that the ventricular system and the subarachnoid space that should be occurs because of the presence of the blood vessels into that the subarachnoid space, and that is the movement of the head and the spine. So that should facilitate the circulation of the CSF. After then we should have to see that is the functions of CSF. So the functions of CSF, that is the CSF, it supports and protect the brain and the spinal cord. So that is the important function which is done by the CSF. Then the second function, that is it maintain a uniform pressure around the delicate structure of the brain. Then the third function, it is act as a cushion and a shock absorbent between the brain and the cranial nerves. And fourth and important function, it keep the brain and spinal cord moist, and there may be interchanges of substances between the CSF and the nerve cell, such as the nutrient and the waste product. Then the next function, that is neuron cannot live without the glucose and oxygen for more than 3 to 4 minutes. So there are constantly provided the glucose supply to that the neuron by the CSF, because that the CSF that consists of or that presents the glucose. After then the last and the important function, that is the change the intracranial volume, is sometimes compensated by the controlled production and the absorption of the CSF. For example, if the blood volume of the brain increases, then the more CSF that should be drained out. And the controversially, if the brain blood volume is reduces, so more CSF that should be retarded into that the ventricular system. So these are the functions which is related by the CSF. After then we should have to see that is the properties of the CSF. So you know there is the blood CSF barrier is present, and because of the presence of the blood CSF barrier, the antibodies are not found into that the CSF. So the infection is occurs into that the CSF, they are oftenly fatal because they should be directly affected or destroy the neuron. Then second one, that is the bile, it is not found into that the CSF even in the severe cases of the jaundice. Third one, that is the most of the drug cannot be reached to that the CSF, that is due to presence of the blood CSF barrier. Next properties, that is there is no CSF brain barrier is present. Hence if the drug is directly injected into that the subarachnoid space, that type of injection of that the drug, it is called the intrathecal injections, and these drug are soon enter into that the extracellular spaces around the neuron and the neuroglial cell. So these are the important properties related with that the CSF. After then we should have to see the clinical or the applied anatomy related with that the CSF. So the first clinical point, that is the hydrocephalus. So hydrocephalus means abnormal increase in the volume of the CSF within the skull, that means excessive accumulation of the CSF into that the cerebral ventricles or into that the subarachnoid space. So that is called the hydrocephalus. Then the next clinical point, second clinical point, that is the hydrocephalus ex vacuo. So it should be occurs as a compensatory mechanism due to the atrophy of the brain parenchyma, and it is seen in the dementia or the Alzheimer's, means commonly occur into that the aged person. So that is the hydrocephalus ex vacuo, and due to the atrophy, that is the intracranial pressure is increases, and that is the CSF, more CSF that should be accumulated into that the ventricular system and the subarachnoid space. Then the Froehn syndrome. So Froehn syndrome, it is occurs due to the obstruction in the vertebral canal produces, that is in this the yellow discoloration of the CSF below the level of the obstruction and spontaneous coagulation after withdrawal due to high protein content are observed into that the CSF. Then the parenchymal examination, that should be shows the raised protein content called the albuminocytologic dissociation. So that is the next clinical point related with the CSF. The last and the common point related with that the CSF, that is the lumbar puncture or the cisternal puncture or the ventricular puncture. So the lumbar puncture, that is the easiest method to extract the CSF for the examination, that is in between the L3 and L4 vertebra, that is the safe place where that is the dilatation of the meninges are present, and into this, that is the more amount of the CSF it should be present. So you can easily insert the needle into that the space between that the L3 and L4 lumbar vertebra, and you can extract that the fluid, CSF fluid. So that is called the lumbar puncture.